Embodiment is a relationship. It's not just something cute that we put on our Instagram profile. Like, I help you with embodiment. Like, even though it's like, you see, to get wrapped up, like, I do embodiment. It's like, no, bitch. Like, this is part of my life. Like, this is part of how I live. It's a foundational tool of my aliveness. Hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of Weederlight. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. So I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. Because I woke up this morning and I was like, what's my intention? And I had a visual of an arrow, like a bow and arrow. And it was like clarity, clean, sharp. And I was like, yeah, hot. And then I recorded this podcast 26 times, 5 of which I'm singing at you. And then I got into like a really juicy episode about embodiment. And then I noticed weird qualities of like perfectionism. And I was like, fuck, like I'm going to do embodiment next week. Now I'm going to do perfectionism. And I stopped the recording and I'm like, what's going on? And I noticed that what's coming up, I mean, there's a lot coming up that like we could definitely talk about, which I want to. And for me, a big thing that's coming up like is knowing myself, which is part of self-love, right? So to know myself, I could be like, fuck yeah, Erica, I celebrate you. I see you in that. And I could support you in that. So I was doing some noticing of like what's coming up. And I also was like, I got the hit that I'm like, this has to be a quick and dirty. Like, as much as I want to fucking lavish, because you know I live, laugh, love, and like, yes, like I want to sing at you, I want to dance at you, but like, I got the hit, like, baby, like this is going to be a quick and dirty. And I think with extension episodes, because I think this is such a bomb of an episode, but it was like, baby, get to it, which you know, if you know me, you've been here, you know, again, that's not my forte. My ADHD loves to just live, laugh, love on and do frickin' pot of berets on the surface, you know, and on, you know, all around. But today we're going to get to the point. And I think that's what brings like, up for me is the topic of embodiment. And you know me, I think you know me, or you could guess, and especially my clients and people that have worked with me in group containers know that I am a huge advocate for embodiment. I fucking love that part of my work is talk therapy and mindset because, yes, like that is so fucking helpful. And embodiment is huge. Knowing our body, knowing our body's messages. I mean, let's just take this episode, for example. I was like, okay, my body was like, hi. And, you know, this has been a huge part of my Erica Weederlight's personal journey, my life, and then my work. And so I was like, I'm a rock star at embodiment, which I celebrate. I really have become. However, that was not my origin story. When I was a kid, like, hell yeah, baby E. But as I got older, and I don't want to get too much into story, but I want to tell you this to see if this resonates for you. You know, as like the self-critic came, as a self-saboteur came, I became less and less in my body. It felt less and less safe to be in my body. And I didn't really understand the value of that. And I got being in my body, convoluted with like being in devotion to diet. So, and like looking a certain way versus being in devotion to my body, because my body, we're going to get fucking woo, but my body holds my fucking soul. and has so much wisdom. I never was in that camp until recently. I was in the camp of like, I'm down to be in devotion to this if I look a certain way. Like there was always an undercurrent of a story. And the shame and the guilt and all the things that come up if you're not quote unquote hitting those marks. So I never really felt allowed to have, and again, let me ask you this question. I never felt allowed for many years that I was deserving and worthy of embodiment. That was for those type of folks that looked a certain way. Like that was reserved for them. Like they can be embodied. They can, they could be woo-woo and they could listen to their body and they could do the things. But me, Erica, no. I didn't have the privilege of that, which, man, that's fucking sad. That sucks. But I uncoiled a lot of that. I did a lot of fucking work around that. Like through mindset, right? Through talk therapy and through embodiment. Knowing like, oh shit, like I am worthy and deserving of, and we talk about this so much in the pleasure work and the sexuality and the sensuality, like I am worthy of feeling good things in my body. And not only am I worthy and deserving of feeling good things in my body, I'm worthy of listening to my body, having a relationship with my body. That's it. I didn't feel like I was worthy of having a relationship. There was a little like crunchy ass story, like a tale from a motherfucking gremlin that was like, yeah, like you can have a relationship with your body, but you have to look like this. Like there was like a weird, you could have this as a treat if you do this, which like, fuck you, you gremlin. You gremlin fucker. You know, like, get the hell out of here with that. Also, if you haven't, this is your opportunity to put in earbuds. Because I am a cursor. But does that make sense? Like, that was so wrapped up into my embodiment story. Cool. Work through it. Lots of talk therapy, coaching, mindset work, embodiment work. And like, fuck yeah, right? Like, this is part of my practice. This is part of what I fucking preach. Like, this is part of my shit, like a part of my life. And if you know me, you know I am a class whore. Like, I love taking classes. I love taking programs. And I celebrate. Again, years ago, it came from like a deficiency place of like, I need to take this class so I'm filled. And now I'm like, no, fuck. Like, I am whole. I am radiant. I am hot. Like, I just want to take this class because like it makes me happy. Like, which damn progression, transformation, hello. So I was like, oh my gosh, like embodiment's so fucking part of my life and so part of my work. But like, I feel intrigued to go towards this sacred embodiment training and this embodiment specialist. And I was like, I always do this. Like, I am so LOL because I'm like, oh, I always do these classes and I'm like, yeah, like, because like I am immersed in this world, but I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like totally. Like, I know all the things. And like, meanwhile, this is a year-long retreat. Day one, program. Day one of the retreat, I was like, holy shit, I'm having revelations. And the revelation for me, that I knew, but like bam, got dropped into the bod, like ba-bam, was, oh right, duh. Embodiment is a relationship. It's not just something cute that we put on our Instagram profile. Like, I help you with embodiment. Like, even though it's like, you see, to get wrapped up, like, I do embodiment. It's like, no, bitch. Like, this is part of my life. Like, this is part of how I live. It's a foundational tool of my aliveness. Talked about this before, right? Like, we've talked about this in episodes about self-care, self-love, pleasure. Like, they're not just like a prize you get at the end of the work. Like, though it, you know, sometimes you're like, yes. Like, it's not just like, oh my gosh, we're at Dave & Buster's. Like, here's your tokens. Like, now go get a stuffed animal. Like, it's not transactional. It's not like, sometimes there could be celebrations and, you know, merits and like, fuck, holy fuck, I got past this new level and that's huge and I've overcome this. Like, yeah, of course. But it's not a prize that you put on your shelf. You know, I used to think that, like, I was like, oh, I'm doing pleasure work. Now I'm going to get a trophy and put it out on my shelf. Again, I could put the trophy on my shelf, like, fuck yeah. Like, you've unlocked this new level. Hot. Like, be proud of yourself. But it's an ongoing relationship. And so is embodiment. And so, again, I celebrate that, like, I was living I moved past a lot of these demons and I worked past a lot of these gremlins' fucking rancid voices. And I was like, yeah, like I am worthy of embodiment. We got to that first day of the retreat and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm an embodiment. Like, oh yeah, like I do this. Again, LOL. And we did an exercise that was like super slow. And that for me, again, I don't know if this resonates for you, like brought up some stuff. Because I was in the all or nothing camp for many years. And sometimes, some weird flavors still come out. Especially with movement and food. So I was like, cute, love this. But like, should we do a mile run? Like, should we throw weights in the air? Like, it was a little triggering for me to see like, oh, I'm allowed to move my body and just move my body and it doesn't have to be high intensity or nothing. Like the middle ground brought so much up for me. And in that, so first of all, that came up, right? Like that was brought to the surface of like, right. Okay, cool. We still have a little all or nothing flavor in there, right? That it needs to look like this type of working out, this type of eating or nothing. Like I still had that like a little bit inside of me. And then what I noticed was in that middle ground, that gray area, I started to hear from different parts of my body that I didn't know I wasn't even listening to. So in some areas, like my heart, like certain places, I'm like, yeah, cool. Again, Gucci gang, we have a relationship, we're biffles, we're writing love notes to each other, like, yep, got it, know it, But this unlocked like, oh shit, like there is so much more available that I have been fucking bypassing over. And that I have just been like, don't have time for it, don't want to listen. We've talked about this before, like with the pleasure work, again, a huge celebration. I knew what brought me pleasure. I knew what brought me joy. So like that was there, that was alive and kicking, but I'm like, holy fuck. Like I felt I'm making something up, but actually I did feel this, like my left wrist. I'm like, oh fuck, I had no idea that there was pain there. I didn't know that I felt like acid in my throat. Like that I was like, there was so much that I was bypassing and that I wanted to like overproduce and overwork over because again, there was still that like rotting story in there that like, you're not like, cut the shit. Like there's also a story for me. And I've talked about this before, like you're being so dramatic. So I have that sort, which we got to go into that. So I noticed where like, okay, I'm down for fucking embodiment. Like it's hot. It's changed my life. And there's a cap, like, and to this degree. And I noticed like, oh, fuck. Like when I was, moving my left wrist, like, oh shit, there's like a lot of tension. I actually can't move it. Or, I feel this in my body, feel the acid. I noticed I didn't want to be dramatic. So I've been noticing these things, but like I said, I've been avoiding like a motherfucker. How do I avoid? Oh, she has lots of vices. Watching every show on Bravo television. And again, these are not inherently bad things. I just was like, hi, I'm going to avoid. Hi. What is it? Hi. Huh. I'm the problem. It's me. What's the beginning of that? But like, hi, I am the problem from a place of love and compassion and joking because I'm not a fucking problem and neither are you. My ADHD is so intense. I'm like, why do I need to go listen to Anti-Hero now to get the right lyrics? But you know what I'm talking about. You know the Taylor Swift song. But with that being said, there was spaces, right, where I was creating like, yeah, you could have embodiment here. And in these places, you can't. And those were my resistances. Like I said before, there's, for me, and I'm curious, so I actually want you to like pause and think about like, where are your resistance stories? Oh, now I remember. Again, hi, ADHD, here I am. My brain is beautiful. But again, resistance to going deeper, right? There's a worthiness thing that like, I didn't look this certain way, so I'm not, that's unaccessible to me. Like, fuck you with that. There was a dramatic story, which I want to get to. There's a lot of different things. Like, don't be dramatic. That's too much. And like I said, I was avoiding. I was avoiding it. So what was I doing? I was undereating. I was overeating. I wasn't moving my body at all. I was over moving my body. I was getting into fucking Bravo pits, which again, in healthy doses, Bravo could be self-soothing for me. Right? Like I was overworking. I love to overwork. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. My ego, it fills something. Oh, so juicy. It's so gritty in there. But I was using all these ways to avoid and be like, oh my gosh, like Erica, I know you're feeling acid reflux, but like stop, but you're being dramatic, right? Like here's the cycle of the thoughts. It'd be like, stop, you're being dramatic, you're fine, you're healthy, great. Then we go to the next cycle of like, fuck you. Like there would be a darker underneath, like you're not even really, and this wasn't conscious, I want to point out, like this was unconscious, like you're not really worthy of that health, like, you know, because you should really look like this. Like, ew, excuse me, rude. And there's all these different layers of why I wasn't allowed or had permission to be in my body. So I want to give you a dramatic story. So literally yesterday, I was getting my nails done. And if you know me, oh, she loves an acrylic nail. She loves an acrylic nail. These bad boys, and I flex sometimes. Like sometimes I take them off. Like really sometimes, like emergency SOS. But she loves a nail. And I love, like sometimes it's like a little tacky wacky, but like I love a design, God help me. You know what I mean? Like this, again, I know that I am supposed to be in this era where like everyone loves a good tip and a design, but like I've been doing it for years. Okay. But like love it. It's part of my personality. And yesterday, great. I'm at the nail salon, live, laugh, loving. I'm like, great. I have my color picked out. I'm like, I can't wait. Maybe a little design, a little doodad. And they're soaking off the nails to put on new nails. And let me tell you something. My body was like, fuck no. I was having a reaction to them taking the stuff off, like the chemicals. And my body was like, just please take the nails off and get, first of all, I haven't done this in years, get regular nail polish. I'm like, who is she? Isn't that going to chip in 2 days? But it was like, take off the nails and do regular nail polish for a little bit. We're not making all or nothing statements, but like, you're having a fucking reaction. And in the nail salon, I'm having a fucking internal struggle. I'm like, don't be dramatic. That's not nice. Like I told them that I was going to get a certain service. Like from a business perspective, I feel bad. Like, oh my God, high good girl conditioning all over that. But like, I feel bad being like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm like going to downgrade my service. So there was like all of that, right? Like good girl conditioning. I have to be nice. I'm being dramatic. I'm like, and I'm looking around. I'm like, everyone else is fine getting their nails done. Like, stop, you freak. Like, stop being a fucking weirdo. And I was like a little bit gaslighting myself. Like, you're being dramatic. Like, stop. And then I was like, it was a big celebration for me. I was like, hey, I am really sorry to be, and this is like literally my language. I'm like, I'm being a really big pain in the ass. I apologize. I'm having a reaction. Can we just do regular nail polish? And they were like, yeah, of course. That was like a big win for me. Again, silly story, but me getting over you're being dramatic, you're being too much, to in the middle of a nail salon being like, do this. It was big for me. And also like I have now gotten to a point, I take a shit ton of supplements and herbs that are prescribed, of course, or that has been signed off by a practitioner. And I get good at like listening, like holding the pill. Like one I take helps like flush you out with some stuff. And I'm in a class in of course I need a fucking t-shirt that says that I'm in a class. Always I'm in a class that they say it's like LOL, which is something to talk about too, because discerning what they say versus our truth. But speaking of our truth, they, with this particular supplement, they're like, you can take up to this amount. And people are like, well, how much do we take? They're like, that's up to you. And so like, I've become a woo-woo fucking weirdo where I like now hold the supplements in my hand. I'm like, okay, body, how many do you want? And yesterday it was like none. Like we are cleaning out, like we are clean. Like we need a break. We need a fucking break. And I've gotten that way with like food and moving my body, and listening to my body. Like I said, I was recording this episode, my body was like, no. What I want to highlight here, though, is embodiment is a relationship. right? It's a fucking relationship. Being in our body, knowing our body. Oh, also, this is a big one too, like with food and also movement. I would always override my body. Always. In both senses, where it was like my body was like, I want to move. And I'm like, fuck you. Shh. Shh. We're watching The Housewives. And it was like, oh, okay. Or the opposite, where I was like, hi, we need rest. We need to integrate, or we maybe need like gentle stretches. And I'm like, I'm going to the gym for 2 hours. It's like, hello? So I just wanted to, and again, I think this is like, not just a quick and dirty. I wanted to just like, bring, like get us in. But I think this is like a huge conversation around embodiment. And what the fuck does embodiment even mean for you, right? Because that could mean so many things for different people. For some, that could be triggering. And also embodiment doesn't need to look like this. I want to first and foremost like comb through what it should look like. And again, in this self-help, self-development world, we often see like embodiment, which like no shade. This is a loving LOL, but like embodiment and I'm twirling on a field, like I love twirling on a field, but like that's unaccessible for everyone. You know what I mean? Like embodiment could be, I only have access to moving my fingers, okay, cool. What does that look like for you? Embodiment may be, I don't have range of motion, but I'm sitting and I feel my breath. Or maybe you are lucky that you have full body movement and range of motion. Okay, what does that look like? So it's not even just about the movement piece. Sure, that's there. It's about being in your fucking body, right? So like movement's there, like yes, but like what does it look like to be in your body and to listen to your body? And again, we always say in this world, listen to your body, listen to your body, listen to your body. Which sometimes people are like, yo, like that has so many caveats, right? Like I may have trauma in my body. I may have inflammation. Like I may have blockages. Like that's fucking hard to listen to my body. But this conversation was just kind of like a fire starter, like a Kickstarter to many more conversations. I'm actually really curious because I think this is potentially could be like a whoa conversation of what do you want your next embodiment journey to look like? What do you want this next chapter to look like? And that could mean movement. That doesn't necessarily have to mean movement. That could mean listening to my body, what type of food feels good. Or when I rest, another baby example is last night, I'm like, I'm good, I'm feeling good, I'm going to bed. And then when I got quiet enough and I put my hand over my heart, I was like, whoa, I didn't realize like I have like a lot of anxiety right now. And like I am, there's a lot of self-soothing. Sorry, don't mind the chair. Had to shift. There's a lot of soothing that need to happen. But again, my brain wanted to override it. It was like, you're fine. Watch some TikTok, go to bed. And when I got quiet, I was like, oh shit, like I actually need to massage this area. I need to breathe. So my invite to you is first and foremost, what stories, what limiting beliefs comes up about embodiment for you, right? Like I told you for me, there's a worthiness story. I told you for me, there is a don't be dramatic story. I'm curious if you have any creepy crawlies. Cool. Then I'm curious, like, what do you want the journey to look like? Again, it's a journey. It's the climb. But like, it's the climb. It's not going to be like, here we are, destination. Yes. Like, yeah, cool. We're going to celebrate that milestone, but it's a journey. So I'm curious, again, thoughts, crunchiness, ... From there, I'm curious what you want your relationship to your body to look like. Meaning, like, do you want to be the person? Would that feel cool to like feel into what type of food you want to eat that day? Would you want to be the person that like just like checks in every few hours and is like, hey babe, what do you need, my darling? Or like, actually, it's not working sitting at a desk right now. I need to work from the bed, or vice versa. Or I need to move my left wrist is like apparently has some stuff telling me. I want us to get good at being in communication with our body, because like there's so much fucking wisdom there, and we are not taught in the society. We are taught in the society that our body is something we just sludge behind us, and our brains are fucking hot. Like, love the brain. But this body has so much wisdom, has so much intuition, and it's like actually like a pretty badass rebellious act to listen to our body. Because again, this society is like, ew, weird. Don't be a freak. And don't be a hippie. Like, that's fucking weird. Like, don't be a witch. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be all of them. I'm like, Elikanamen, bitch. I'm definitely stepping into my witchiness. But does that make sense? I'm curious what you want that to look like for you. I want, and again, many episodes more to come, but instead of it feeling like a transactional relationship, or I need to force my body to do this, or, I'm sludging it around and then it needs to look like this. Like, whoa, that is 0.2% of the conversation. Like, this body has so much wisdom. It has so much to share with us. That is unbelievable. So again, this is like just the like, bling, like to get us in. Many more conversations, but I would love to be down to talk about this. I'm curious what this brought up for you, how you want to shift that relationship to your body that maybe isn't so, I don't want to say egocentric. That feels dramatic, but again, dramatic. But that feels, I guess, vain. Like, sure, we could have vanity. We could want to take care of ourselves from, aesthetic perspective. Fuck yeah, I'm all about that. That's hot. Like, yes, like you celebrate yourself, take care of yourself in a way that feels good. And that's just a piece of the puzzle. I'm curious if we can start to have intuition, knowing, combing through the body, and having that like actually the relationship with it, where we can listen to what it's saying, listening to what it's needing, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my invite. Like I said, it's a 2-part invite. First and foremost, what did this convo bring up for you? What's your relationship around embodiment, aka being in your body, inhabiting this body? There's a teacher that I'm part of one of her courses, LOL, of course. And I'm going to butcher this quote, but her name is Sarah Jenks. And I love what she said about instead of sludging our body around or thinking like, oh, this is an inconvenience. She likes being in devotion to her body, meaning having a relationship to it, listening to its wisdom, being witchy with it, getting weird in the cool ways with it, being a devotee of it, because this body has the ability to hold our soul. I mean, it does hold our soul, but wouldn't it be hot to be a devotee, have devotion to this body, so our soul can fucking thrive, right? So our soul isn't dampened, isn't not heard. Like, we are tuning in to where our soul could fucking thrive, take up space, do what we're supposed to do on this planet. So I love that. And I love you. And I'm curious, like I said, what this conversation brought up. What do you want your relationship to your body to look like? And I don't mean the physical. Sure, if you want to throw that in too, I'm interested. But I'm curious, like, what do you want to know with your body? How do you want to learn from your body? How do you want to take up space in this world with your body? How do you want to devote and be devotional to that intuition in your body, to your soul? You're so hot. There's literally so much more to discuss. But again, my intention for today was to be, boom, intentional and crisp and conscious. So way more to come. But I'm curious. Like I said, tell me all the things. You could drop me a line on Instagram, via email. How you want to honor that beautiful body. How you want to be in your body. How you want your soul to inhibit that gorgeous body of yours. I fucking love you. You're hot. I'll talk to you soon. Bye! Thank you, seriously thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.